Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. We have some very interesting updates to talk about today, so let's get to it. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for the support. Cannot do this without you guys. It is much appreciated. So there are quite a few new changes with the most recent 4.4 build, plus the engineering tech preview will be coming back and opening to further waves. In fact, let us start with that one. In the This Week in Star Citizen post, it mentioned in the first paragraph that last week's Evocati testing of engineering on the tech preview brought in some strong feedback, helping them to fine-tune things to come. They also said we're looking forwards to opening both Alpha 4.4 PTU and the tech preview to the wider audience soon. So we will speak about 4.4 in a second, as there are some very interesting changes there. But for the tech preview, this means taking it out of the NDA and allowing more players to get their hands on it. Now this is great news, as firstly, it means we will be able to actually share what we are experiencing and testing, helping to figure out how it all works, but also jumping in together and putting the system through its paces, flying missions and having engineering crews on board, and just seeing how the full system plays out from pristine to damaged, to on fire, to fixed up, and back on the road again. Now, I personally doubt that this is a system that will release this year, as there is just too many moving pieces with it that need a lot of work and a lot of testing, plus not all of the ships in the tech preview are supporting engineering at this time anyway, but this is moving very quickly and very well, and I certainly think a release in a patch within the first quarter of 2026 is more likely, or highly likely in fact. Do keep an eye out for when this moves into more waves, as I will be jumping in with the org to really check the depths of this system, as I have been having such a great time seeing the process of how ships take damage and then get into trouble and then fixing it back up and running again. So hopefully we will see at least a wave 1 for engineering sometime this week. Maybe for the weekend, that would be the best, but if they could get it to more waves than wave 1, that would be even better, as we can get more hands on deck. Now next up, we have Star Citizen Alpha 4.4's latest news. So firstly, 4.4 is now open to all backers on the PTU. It is now available to all waves, so anyone can test it. Secondly, there is a new mesh configuration, with it being 5-2-3-600, meaning 5 servers for Stanton, 2 for Pyro, and then 3 now for Nyx. So taking 1 from Stanton and handing that over to Nyx to help support with the concurrency, the player base that is pretty much all there on 4.4. Now within this new patch, as you can see in the background, the overall client FPS is better, sitting around 15 to say 28 inside and outside of Levski, which, considering it was at 5 for the best part of the Wave 1 Access patch, and now it is open to all, with around 180 on the server and 350 plus on the shard. So it is improving somewhat, although it would certainly be interesting to see just how the FPS goes when there are 400 all in the same location again. The server FPS was still very poor, generally being around or lower than 5 throughout. Plus, there was a lot of textures not loading in, where areas were taking a while to load in as well. Not sure if this is to do with the memory issue, but there is still a long ways to go before it is ready for live and properly playable with FPS that we're now used to around Stanton or Pyro. Anyway, there has been a pretty decent player injury pass, with it saying that the intention of this update is to make injuries reflective of time spent in combat and act as warnings when you need to go and rest and restore. So basically, you should be able to fight for longer before needing to get healed, but you will likely sustain more injuries throughout. And as each injury and affliction gets added, these will somewhat be an alarm to tell you that you need to go or get off the front line or out of battle and go get healed before it gets worse. Now the changes are: the amount of damage to get an injury has increased for each body part by 1.5%, so you should be able to take more damage before an injury actually happens. They have also reduced how much max HP reduction you get from the initial injuries. So basically, with each of the initial injuries you sustain, your overall HP will not reduce as much as it does currently, meaning you can stay in the fight for longer without having to be overly concerned about getting incapped. But you will over time sustain more and more injuries, reducing your effectiveness, which I'm liking the sound of, and hopefully in the future can lead to some more interesting medical interactions, which I will speak about in a second. But also they have removed the random number generator chance for injuries to occur, with injuries now having a binary trigger threshold. Now, for me, this is great news. I hate random number generators in this kind of sense because they just seem so faked. This new binary method is much better, and it means that if, for example, you take X amount of damage to your arm, then your arm will get an injury, or when that threshold is met. Now, overall, it sounds like a much better system, more accurate for what damage you are taking, and more injuries stacking over time if you are staying in the fight. For me, I would, going back to this whole expansion on physical interactions, rather than just needing to use Hemazal or a beam all the time, having to actually treat your injuries in the field would be pretty cool. So having a field surgeon tool, for example, where you could have more of an interaction with someone's arm or leg would be so cool. Obviously, we don't have that right now, but I'm hoping that that is the direction they're going to take it in, where we have more hands-on, visceral interactions, which they have kind of said they want in the past, but that stuff is probably a little way off. But this is further balancing the medical profession, and I am very interested to see how this all plays out. Now, also in the latest patch, they have done lots of optimizations and polishes to asteroid bases, the missions associated with those locations as well. A lot of optimizations for Levski and Delamar, as well as increasing the central elevator door wait time from 5 seconds to 8 seconds, which is definitely needed. So just continuing to improve the performance of Nyx and its content. They have also added Vanduul and General Levski AI wildlines. Very much looking forward to hearing the Vanduul smack talking us in their own language. That is going to be fun. Plus a lot more potential bug fixes. So some great updates there. Some important changes for improving 4.4 and medical. And here's hoping that we see the engineering tech preview open to more waves this week, so we can really start putting it through its paces as a group, systemically checking things and figuring out what is going on. Anyway, with that said, if you are buying anything from the Impound, be that a ship, a paint, a weapon, do consider using my link, as this not only provides you with a discount, but it also helps my channel with a direct kickback. So it is much appreciated, and thank you to everyone who has done so already. If you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, come and hang out over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrother or here live on YouTube. I stream to both on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you are all more than welcome whether you are brand new or a veteran. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members for your continued support. It is much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.